There's still so much that I want to create, see, do, experience. Just can never find the time. We have our day jobs. And for some of us, our day jobs are our night jobs and weekend jobs, or you have 2 jobs or even 3 jobs. I've been there before. And then family. And then any other adulting, taking care of the house, cleaning up the garden. And then probably one of my biggest, I don't know if it's a character flaw, but I have a tendency to revisit my projects. Anything that I've made for myself, whether it's physically or it's digital, like software. I used to be a software engineer, not anymore, but I still write apps for myself. And I have a tendency to revisit my apps, try to write them better now that I've used them for a while and I've changed my mind how it should work, how I should interface with it. And then I'm always learning. It doesn't matter how much you learn, how long you've been writing code for, or anything, doing anything for, there's always something you didn't know. Always something you learn. And there's the desire to implement that, at least for me. And there was one video I did on this channel, a little tutorial. I showed how I wrote an image stacking app in Python. That's like the 5th or 6th iteration of that app. I've never been happy with it. I've always wanted to make it a little bit better. And so I don't know if that's a character flaw, but it's definitely something that holds me back from doing new things, because I'm always looking back over my shoulder at what I've done before. And I think, well, how can I do it better? Do it differently. Even on this channel. Some people love the lighting for my videos. Some people hate the lighting for my videos because I never like the same. I'm always changing. I'm always experimenting. I'm always trying something new. Now, one of the most popular videos on my channel is about my sleeping platform for my 4Runner. Lots of views, and most importantly, lots of great conversation with other viewers. Lots of great back and forth, a lot of feedback, a lot of people saying thank you. You really inspired me, which is kind of the point. Another YouTuber inspired me to build this. I made some changes, made mine, and I shared my schematics, and hopefully I inspired others. Though not one of you has yet shared with me what you've made. A lot of you are like, I'm going to make my own platform this weekend. And I always ask, share it, and you never do. Now you see, I have it installed. It's always been installed. I haven't been camping in a while in it, though, to be honest. Since I got my camper van, I've been taking that everywhere. I love the space, the room, the features. But the ProMaster cannot go where the 4Runner can. A lot of places I want to visit, a lot of places I want to revisit, that a ProMaster will not make it. I want to get back out there in the 4Runner and start using what I built again. But I have been on some trips with this, and I do use this for daily use. And now, after a couple years, I am coming to terms with what did and didn't work. So I'm currently planning a version 2. I'm going to address some pain points. I'm going to share in this video some of the things that I'm going to address in version 2. And also a couple other things I plan to do to the 4Runner this fall. Now that summer is subsiding, I want to make some upgrades. I want to get my truck back out there and have some fun. As far as the old platform, I think I'm just going to put up on Marketplace, local, just give it away. Maybe 20 bucks, just charge someone for the gas to meet them. That's about it. I'm not in this to make any money, but I don't want to toss it out because I think it's still useful for the right person. But I'm ready. I've got the itch to start working on a new one. So let's jump right into it and talk about some of the updates that I'm thinking about. One feature about my design that seemed to be the biggest hit with people was this interlocking tab design. So the sleeping platform, and I do recommend watching the original video, not just to give me views. you know, for the likes, for the traffic, for the revenue, just because, well, all the context is in that video. But I'll try to summarize it really quickly. So this platform has 4 sections, 4 quarters. You have the back half, which goes over the trunk. The front half goes over the back seats. Right now it's in 3/4 mode. This is how I usually use it. What people liked, if I remove this little piece right here, you have this cutout. So here is the 4th quarter here. And you see there's this mail tab and a 2x4 underneath right here. So when I drop this into place, it's going to go in nice and snug. There we go. It's a tight fit. Now when it drops into place, if I try to pull the driver's side from the passenger side, you see that they're interlocked. They're going to stay in place. This has worked great. This, probably over everything else I did for this, has worked better than I thought. It really did hold up. What makes this effective, partially, is because I had left the back seats in when I originally built this. Nowadays, I have the passenger side rear seat. This is a 60/40, so it's the passenger plus the middle seat, pretty much taken out full time. When the last kid is gone, I'm taking out the last seat. No back seats. This, though, exposed a problem because like the way it is right now, if I put the leg in, this would hold in place. However, I'm usually doing 3/4 design. Not just because of the seat. Let me take this out. But sometimes on trips, I like to have my refrigerator right here. Yeah, really roughing it, right? I'm bringing a refrigerator. But I do like to have my refrigerator right here. Now, because I don't have the seat, I ran into a new problem. See that? Having the back seats folded up put pressure that pushed the front part of the platform, the front half, into the back half, kept everything very snug. Because I would secure down the back half with turnbuckles. So originally how I designed this, I mean, it wouldn't move. It was great until I took the back seat out. And now it shifts. I showed this in a previous video. I tried putting some little cabinet locks underneath to try to hold the platform together, and that sort of works. Sort of. It's not great, to be honest. I don't recommend it. What I want to do for the next version is I want to implement the same tabs into the back half to hold the two halves together. Now, what I'm thinking is I'm definitely going to put the female cut into the back passenger side quarter section. So this one will have a male tab that comes out, hooks it in. What I'm still undecided on, I might do it. I don't know. I'm really thinking about this. I'm going over the designs in 3D. I'm not sure if I need to put a female cut into this. It's going to take some experimentation. I got to brainstorm this a bit. I think I just need the one tab here, because if these two are holding tight, then when this quarter section is overlapping into this, I think that will help hold all that in place, I think. Because I do have D-rings on the back panel where I try to tighten it down to. So there may be some trial and error on this. I'm having to brainstorm a lot on this. Because what I might have to do is also cut a female cutout tab on this side, the driver's side trunk. And that means the quarter section that goes right here is going to have 2 male tabs, one for this and one for this. That I know will definitely hold all 4 pieces together. I'm thinking about going all out and doing it like that just to make sure everything holds tight. I was just trying to do the least amount of work, but I'm concerned that I do the least amount of work. I get all this put together, and when I take this passenger seat out in a year or two, this thing starts to shift again. That I'm not looking forward to. So I haven't started cutting it. I'm still like 3D modeling, still thinking about it. But I'm thinking maybe the most secure thing to do is to do 2 females right here, and then rebuild the quarter piece to have 2 male tabs. And that way I lock everything into place. That's the first thing. That is the first thing that I'm thinking about. I think that's going to be the biggest change, actually, that I want to make. Let's take a look at the second. And if you watched the last video, I'm sure you remember the conversation around the legs, the piping that I used. Now, when I originally did the video, I had the legs at 12 inches because I needed to fit my Pelican case underneath. Since then, I've done some modifications, which I covered in another video. Right now, they're at 8 inches, and I have an extension that I can add that will put to 4 inches. And everything bolts into this flange. So, problems I have with this flange. These bolts come loose quite often. It wasn't so much of an issue with the base. However, the extension, which if you didn't see that video, I'll show it here in a second, that was more of an issue. But when I was, off-roading, getting dirty, getting at it, I would come back and I would typically find these bolts loosened up. That was an issue, especially when I was trying to use the extension, but even so much when I was just taking off the platform and I was assuming that these were in tight, and all of a sudden the leg would fall out and roll down the street or down the driveway into the street, and I have to chase it down. It's kind of annoying. But with the extension, it made it even worse. What I did find are some telescoping legs that I'm going to test out. These are going to have more flexibility to allow a little more arbitrary adjustment in height, at least between the ranges they support. So I found some that support the height range that I prefer to use the platform in. The challenge is the legs on the front, because those go down to the floorboard. Those need more distance. I didn't find legs that were as long as I needed, but what I think I can do is maybe just double up on the supporting 2x4s or find some thicker wood just to handle the spacing I need up front. Also, I'd like to think maybe to cut down on the weight a little bit. These aren't too heavy, but again, overall, the whole thing just felt a little weird. The flanges have stayed secured for the most part. The feet aren't too, even with the little rubber footing, they aren't too wide. They have indented or dented in the styrofoam, the base in my trunk, which isn't so much a bad thing, at least not for me, maybe for other people. Some people did raise their concern about that. So the telescoping leggings I'm looking at have a wider base. About a year into using this platform, I thought I had a great idea. I came across these connectors for the piping in Lowe's, and I thought I had an epiphany. Take the 12-inch pipe, cut it down to 8-inch and 4-inch sections. 4-inch if I want to get the platform down really low and I have more headroom, which I'll be honest, I never once had a use for that. I always like having some storage underneath, so I never used the 4-inch. I'm using the 8-inch right now, though 8-inch is really handy. If I don't have the big Pelican cases, I had this set at 8-inch. If I take the big cases, going on a longer trip, 12 inches. The idea was I could take the 4-inch section and the 8-inch, which I have in right now, connect them with this, voila, 12 inches. Get your mind out of the gutter. That seemed to work. I was really proud of myself. I made that follow-up video. Look at my great idea. And yes, the lighting was awful in that video. Piss off, I know. Whatever, let's move past it. So a few weeks after that last video, started going out again. I was taking the big Pelican case. So I set this back to 12 inches. Now, I wasn't doing any like hardcore off-roading, just dirt roads, just gravel roads going out to dispersed camping sites. Nothing crazy. And not a lot of it either, right? A lot of times I was on pavement. A couple occasions, went to hop in the back, go to bed at night. Platform would shift. The hell? Well, the vibrations of the road was shaking these two bolts loose, so then the fitting here would just fall. Then the 8-inch and 4-inch sections are not connected. And then one time when I stopped, the flange had also gone loose. So this would probably go loose first, fall off, roll away. Then the flange would loosen up, the bolt on the flange. So whatever was the top section would fall out. And so I stopped one night, 2 legs had fallen completely out. Third was on its way. The connector had fallen out of the third, but the top part was still bolted in. Now, it's not a difficult fix. I keep an Allen key that fits these in the side compartment of my door. Ever since I built all this, I kept that key handy. So I could make quick fixes. I could tighten everything down. But I had to pull out all my gear. Thankfully, it wasn't raining or anything like that, but it was late at night. Had to pull out my gear so I could find the pieces, get to the flange, secure everything. It took a few minutes, but something I would just rather not have messed with. And so I realized that the idea I had was not a good idea. It happens. We make mistakes. My intent was, I thought it would be inconvenient to have different lengths of piping, have 12-inch length, 8-inch length, 4-inch length. I realized that was actually a better approach. It was. So if the telescoping legs that I'm looking at don't work out and I have to go back to the piping, I'm going to go back and I'm going to order 12-inch piping. I'm not going to use these ever again. Just wasn't a good idea. Didn't work as well as I thought it was going to. These things happen. So trial and error. If you watch that video and you cut up your piping and you use this, I'm really, really, really sorry. Honestly, I am. I'm going to go back and leave some notes in that video. Hopefully people catch it. I'm going to pin a comment saying, hey, please don't cut your pipes. Please watch this video. Learn from my mistakes. So anyways, that's what I wanted to share with all of you. You know, trial and error, we got to figure out what does and doesn't work. And unfortunately, this did not work. So hopefully the telescoping legs are the answer that I'm looking for. So there was another video I was watching recently, and if I can find it, I will leave a link in the description. I like to give credit where credit is due. So another creator was showing off his 4Runner. And his little platform, he had made this into a drawer space, a large drawer. He had painted the bottom side of the platform, which would be the top side underneath like this. He painted it all white. I was like, yeah, that actually makes sense, right? If you have any light at all, any kind of ambient light is going to reflect. It's going to help illuminate a little bit more. So I think that's one of those little things that you can do to make a big difference. So on the new platform, I'm going to paint the bottom side all white from the back all the way to the front. Similar to the legs, I had problems with the turnbuckles coming loose from the vibrations of the road. Now, a possible solution for this is to find some nuts that you could actually add to the threading to tighten down. And that, I think, in theory, could work. However, and I was about to do it. However, I ran an issue with the custom height adjustment when I went to the 8-inch. And that is because of where I positioned the D-rings on the platform. Because when it's 12 inches, I would use this longer one and the shorter one. And that was enough to connect the two D-rings. The problem with the 8-inch height is, well, this is too long, this is too short. I could go back to the store, find more turnbuckles, different sizes, add more turnbuckles to my bucket. I don't want to do that. I have some ideas that I'm going to play with. I'm not really going to get into it in this video because I have to actually play with it and test it out. Something I think is still fairly simple. Will I share it? No, I'm not going to share it. You'll have to wait and see. But basically, I am looking at new ideas on how to secure the platform down to the D-rings. I could have added more D-rings to the platform to accommodate for the length change. I didn't really want to get into that. I just felt adding a bunch of D-ring, screwing a bunch of D-rings in the bottom of the platform was not the solution. So I'm going to experiment with some new ideas there. So lessons learned. I mean, this isn't a terrible idea, but I would periodically, even if I wasn't off-roading, right, just driving to Costco, not doing anything, I would I could hear these actually moving around when I was driving. And I would look on the platform and sure as hell, like they're dipped, right? They're just really, really, really loose. Happen a lot. So if you do want to stay with turnbuckles, like you have a height that works for you. Maybe you designed your own platform, maybe inspired from from the one I did, maybe not. But you're using turnbuckles and you're experiencing them going loose. From what I understand, people said you can solve the problem by adding extra nuts on the inside of the threading. And maybe that solves your issue. And maybe that will work if you don't have a platform that you're changing the height on, like I do. And I plan to keep doing because it is convenient for me. So this system did not work well for arbitrary height adjustments. Moving on from the shelf, one of the upcoming modifications I'm making is I'm going to be installing this Blue Yeti Charger 1. Now, yeah, I have it zip tied to the shelf, but it's not actually installed. I don't have the cabling. I don't have the 60 amp breaker setup, all that. So that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to having this charge my power banks and not use the cigarette lighter anymore. However, I don't have an upgraded alternator, so I'm going to have to dial back the power so I don't put too much stress on my alternator. Moving on from the inside of the vehicle, one of the things I'm doing this year is I'll finally be replacing the crossbars with an actual roof rack. Now, outside of looking cool when I'm driving around the mall, is I'm hoping the roof rack helps me solve storage issues. So I had the Skybox, and I've had this for years, had this on other vehicles. When I got the 4Runner, I ran into an immediate problem that I could not mount it on the stock crossbars. They sit too low. So I had to get these aftermarket ones, which raise it up a few more inches. And this has always been a bit of a pain to get into. So I'm hoping with the new roof rack, which means I'll have to take off the luggage bars right here, which is whatever, bye-bye. But I'm hoping the new storage containers I get will bring down the overall height of my vehicle, maybe stress me out a little less in parking garages, and hopefully I might get the ladder too, make it a little bit easier to get up and access my storage, because this has always been a pain. You might have noticed in the previous shot that I had this pushed all the way over on the passenger side. That was intentional. I did center this originally like I did on my CRV. However, it was always kind of hard to get in here. And so I realized to have better access, I need to push it to one side or the other. So because there's always a weight in the driver's side, obviously for me, I decided to push this over to the passenger side and try to balance the overall weight. Now it's kind of splitting hairs. I don't think it made that big of a difference, but it's a decision I made. So, you know, whatever. And that's it. The three big changes that I'm looking forward to doing: the improved version 2 sleeping platform, Blue Yeti charger, and the roof rack. I am getting my roof rack from Cali Raised. I've been researching a lot. I mean, a lot of them out there. Sherpa looked great. A lot of people recommended the Sherpa over other brands. For my reasons, I'll get into it when I get the Cali raised. I'll cover that in another video. I decided to go with that. Not just price. There were a couple small reasons. Overall, I think as long as you install them correctly, I think all of them can do their job, in my honest opinion. Either way, it's going to be an improvement, an upgrade over what I have right now. Well, that's all I have for this video. I have to finish this on the GoPro because my Osmo started acting up. Started dropping audio, not connecting to the microphone. I have no idea what's going on. So it's always something, isn't it? Either way, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.